Hello, I'm Esther Clarke. I have the honor of being the minority leader on the East Hartford Town Council. This is a special time of the year when the general public gets a chance to meet candidates who they will vote for in November. I have with me Jack Jacobs, who is the Republican Town Chairman as well as a candidate for the State House of Representatives. Jack, why don't you tell us why you're running for this office?
Well, I'm running for this office because it's like the next step in my progression is involved in politics. I'm a concerned American. I believe in the values of America, and a lot of things about America, especially the liberty, the truth, and the justice part. And I love America. I'm originally from Oregon, and then I moved to Texas, and now I'm in Connecticut for the last 27 years, and I'm a naturalized Yankee. And when people ask me where I'm from, a lot of times I did say America, but they can't place my accent. But I'm really, that's why I'm involved in politics, is because I'm a concerned person, and I've always taken a lot of interest in politics, but never got involved. And now I am involved so that I have a right to state my opinion and to voice my concerns.
So if you get to the state capitol, are there any particular areas that you're concerned with that's going on now that should be changed?
Well, you know, if in the construction industry and business, a lot of times you go into a building, it's best to knock the whole thing down, or do you fix it? I mean, so we have what we have. If we were to design it over again, I would design it differently, but it's a big ship of state, and so of course we want, as Republicans, we want less taxes. We don't want, they keep getting more and more share of our money, of course, but that's a very, you can't do all that by yourself. You can't do that without addressing the power of the public employees unions, and so I have to work with my team, the Republican team, on issues like that. So, but on the other issues, as a state, we have a certain amount of say-so. These issues that affect us all. I'm very concerned about, mandatory vaccinations. I mean, anybody that's on my Facebook knows this. I share it all the time, and because of well, there are a lot of concerns, a lot of doctors that bring up these concerns. It isn't me just, thinking this. It's doctors and it's professionals that are voicing these concerns. And I do believe perhaps that vaccines have their place. But anyway, that's one of the issues, is vaccine choice. Vaccines should be tested, should be safe, for one thing, and they should be tested. They should have a control group and a vaccinated group. And the people that are vaccinated are the little bitty children, about this big, and they get like 60 different doses by the time they're 6 years old to attend to school. And we have an epidemic of autism. Like 1 in 68 children has autism nowadays. 1 in 40-something baby boys has autism. So we need to be looking at that and see, where is this coming from? I mean, where is this epidemic of autism coming from? A lot of these shots do contain mercury, thimerosal. So I would never let somebody inject mercury into me. I was reading an article yesterday where 25,000 times the legal limit in drinking water, what they're injecting these kids with the mercury. So that's one of my issues that I really am concerned about. Another issue is education, of course. And I don't believe you get better education by throwing more money at it. I believe, and most of our money does go to employees and pensions and health care and all that. And what really concerns me about education is, what exactly are we teaching these children? Are they teaching them to take the vaccines? Are they teaching them that the polar bears are drowning? The polar bears are not drowning. They can swim for 300 or 400 miles. And our Arctic shelf's getting bigger all the time, and all these scare tactics. And they're passing legislation based upon that all the scientists agree global warming is consensus. But science is not done by consensus. It's you test the hypothesis and you prove it. It's not, oh, we all agree because we're getting grant money. I mean, you know, and they're teaching the kids that we're, and I don't believe in pollution at all. You know, I mean, I love clean nature. I mean, I love nature, but they've hijacked the environmental movement as far as I'm concerned.
When you think of the town of East Hartford and representing the town of East Hartford, there's a number of grants that we have been fortunate to get from the state of Connecticut. How do you feel about grants and the amount of money that's being poured into the towns in the area, in the state, not the area?
Well, I'm sure there's some towns that are not as wealthy as other towns in the state, so perhaps some grant money to certain, like East Hartford or Bridgeport or Hartford. I don't think it's probably not in the same class as Bridgeport or Hartford, but it might be reasonable. It depends on where the money is coming from. I mean, where do you get this money to give the grants? And does this come with strings attached?
Well, last I checked, it was out of our income tax. The money didn't come from heaven. It must have come from somebody's pocket somewhere along the line, or the federal government. So that there are...
It's hard to turn down that, you know, free money I
Right.
mean, when you're involved in government. But I mean, we got to look beyond that and look at the principle and the underlying issues. At least that's my philosophy.
Well, that's great. Well, I think we have an idea of where you're heading, and we're hoping that we'll be able to see you at the Capitol very soon, Jack. Good luck to you in the November election.
Thank you very much, Esther.
I have with me the candidate for Judge of Probate, Attorney Tom Ogar. Friendly gentleman, well received by the general public, and familiar with our town. Tom, I can't get into this until I hear why you are running for probate judge.
Esther, it's simple. I've lived in this community for a number of years, and I do appreciate the level of commitment people have to this town. And I am motivated by several reasons. One of them is a desire to serve this community. The other one is our population is getting elderly. We have a population here that invariably would use our probate courts one time or another. And I believe too that if we prepare our senior citizens well when they come to this court, they're able to navigate and use this court. Hopefully it will be a friendly court when I become the probate judge. Again, also, I feel that the level of challenges that are facing our families can only be alleviated if people decide to participate in public service. Public service these days does not get good reputation from anyone. People feel that people who are currently serving are not motivated, don't care about the public. I want to go in there and make a difference. That's my desire.
That's great, Tom. I can better understand. Having known you for a number of years, I recognize that those are all the types of things that you're known for. Now, in order to be a good probate judge, you need certain education. Can you give us your educational background?
Yes, Rosa. I am an attorney by profession. I attended Columbia Law School in New York City. How did I get involved in this area? When I started my practice here in 2003, I used to run seminars for elderly. And that seminar, I would talk about wills, trust, living wills, and how they can best prepare their lives. Then I discovered that in doing that, this is an area that I'm naturally gravitated toward this area, because I'm also a trained social worker, and invariably one time or another we will use these services. So this is why I decided that I need to go into this area.
Well, that certainly gives you the right background for this court, because the court is often filled with people who are very sad, very upset, and have a job to do and don't probably want to be there to begin with, so that your friendliness and your experience would certainly be an asset in that area. Besides the things that you've mentioned, what else does the probate judge do in the court?
Esther, I've been fortunate enough to include in my practice what I call estate planning. That includes elderly law, wills, trust, and estates. This area I have practiced across the state, ranging from southern Connecticut up to the north, where I've dealt with issues of conservatorship in probate courts. I've dealt with issues of wills. I have helped to prepare those wills. I've also represented individuals that have come before that court to take care of daily needs. And it would behoove anyone who wants to serve in this position to actually practice in this area. I'm not sure if my opponent has that experience. I understand he's been the corporate attorney for the town of East Hartford, but whether or not he could include estate planning in that, I'm not sure. And also it takes someone who's been there, who's seen the faces of these families as they come before this court to get their needs met. And I've worked with clerks all over the state. I have a good relationship with any court that I've been to. The clerks are very friendly. When I get elected here, I will work with the team of clerks that are here to help me help the public. And that's the desire and the preparation that I have that would do me well when elected for this position.
It's certainly a big job to do, and it's certainly an area that affects so many of our citizens. We're fortunate that we have a court just for the town of East Hartford, and it would be great to have you there so that we know that the kind of justice that you see is what we would best be suited for. Your opponent is the current corporation counsel, which is the town's attorney who is appointed by the mayor. If he plans to keep both jobs, what is your view on that?
Oh, like every other citizen here in East Hartford, I believe the people of East Hartford deserve an individual who's fully committed to the court. You might say a population of over 50,000 people. I would deem this court to be a very busy court. And to have someone's interest divided will not serve us right. And also potentially could be conflict. For example, what if an issue comes before that court where the court needs to determine the property ownership of that piece of land, and the interest of the town is at stake, and a judge whose interest is not clearly defined, I think will not only be a disservice to the people of East Hartford, but it wouldn't be fair to serve two entities at the same time.
I understand that you're spending a lot of time waving to motorists and knocking on doors. So we wish you the very best results in this election at the beginning of November, and look forward to calling you Judge Ogar.